So if you consider attributes of SAF and the value, SAF in comparison with the regular jet fuel comes with the attribute to enable flying without having a negative impact on our planet. And this value comes with a different price. So I believe we are doing a mistake in always comparing SAF to Jet A1 and saying it needs to approach a cost parity. It's a different product. It's a completely different production process, and we need to do huge investments here.
Welcome to Sustainability in the Air, the world's first podcast dedicated to sustainable aviation. I'm your host, Shashank Nigam, the CEO of Simplifying. On this show, I speak with aviation leaders, innovators, and policymakers driving real action, separating the signal from the noise to spotlight what's truly moving the industry forward. The same focus that is at the heart of our new book, Sustainability in the Air, Volume 2. In it, Dirk Singer and I take stock of how far the industry has come and how far we still need to go. With the global carbon budget potentially running out by 2032, the clock is ticking. But the most promising solutions today aren't just environmentally sound, they are economically superior as well. From SAF and contrail mitigation to direct air capture, the book offers a practical roadmap for aviation's journey to net zero. Get your copy today. Link in the show notes. My guest today is Nina Marczell from OMV. OMV is the first major fuel producer we are featuring on this podcast in 3 years. And there's a special reason for that. Nina and I first met in Amsterdam earlier this year, where we shared the stage, and she talked about how OMV, the Austrian fuel producer, is looking and betting big on sustainable fuels. Specifically, today we speak about their partnership with Airbus, why they are betting both on co-processing in Austria and green hydrogen in Romania, their partnerships with airlines like Wizz and Air France-KLM and others, and how exactly OMV hopes to scale sustainable fuels and why it even matters. I found this chat with Nina quite refreshing coming from a major fuel producer, and I hope you do as well. Nina, it's great to be speaking again after sharing the stage with you in Amsterdam earlier this year. You're, of course, leading OMV's industrial sales and marketing. Many would consider this as one of the most challenging fuel transition in the energy sector. Can you tell us about your background? What drew you to this space? What has been like watching sustainable aviation fuel evolve from some niche to becoming a commercial reality?
Yeah. Hi, Shashank. Actually, really great to meet you again and talk about the future of aviation. And hello to everybody listening in. I am leading industrial sales and marketing, OMV's business unit serving different B2B customer segments with our fuel products, services, and more renewable products. And one of the most exciting of these customer segments is definitely aviation. We are servicing and supplying airlines at 17 airports in Europe. And I believe it's definitely an exciting segment because it's a real growth story. And we see more and more people around the world flying. Nevertheless, I heard the amazing number of 80% of the people on our planet have never been flying before, never been on board of a plane. And this means the growth story is not ended yet. And this is where sustainable aviation fuel comes into play. It will be a key lever to enable people traveling while we must take care of our planet.
Now, and thank you for sharing that vision. Coming from OMV, it's very refreshing. Aviation, of course, you'll hear lots of CEOs say it's only 2.5% of global emissions. But that could triple by 2050, as we prove in our latest book, Sustainability in the Air, Volume 2. From your position, Is decarbonizing aviation actually achievable given how much growth there is to come and given that there are no alternatives like electric cars today?
I'm absolutely convinced that we are not in the position to ask if this is achievable, but how it is achievable. So air travel has become an essential part, almost normal part of our daily life. So be it for business, be it for vacation, it's helping us bridging distances, cultures. So we must find ways to how to fly without harming the environment. And I think over the last century, looking at the aviation industry, there has been almost no industry relentlessly pushing boundaries of speed, distance, capacity. So a lot of things are possible. Um, and so coming back to the question, I don't see it as impossible target. We need to dream big, and at the same time, we need to take an a realistic and pragmatic approach. So we should not be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the target. Yes, it's huge, but we need to get moving and we need to start the first things that bring us closer to the target, which is, for example, a 2% mandate in Europe. And yeah, so yes, it's a it's a big target. It's not impossible.
I love your focus on the how. Let's just get to work and figure out how we can do it, how we can maximize the efforts. And this is what you shared with me together on the stage in Amsterdam as well, where OMV is now producing SAF at your Austrian refinery since 2022. From these early efforts, what have been some of the lessons? And are you confident that co-processing and biogenic feedstocks can remain competitive even as new technologies like eSAF and e-fuels mature?
Yeah, these are very good questions, all packed in one. So we have actually started producing SAF on co-processing, like you rightfully said, 2022 at our Schwechat refinery in Austria. This was well ahead of the mandate and well ahead of some other fuel suppliers in Europe. Um, we often heard the comments. It's a very small volume. Actually, we started with 2,000 tons and we scaled it up to 4,000 tons. This has been a very valuable proof point for us, and I believe also for other parts of the industry on the voluntary demand. We've been working together with other early movers like Ryanair, Air France KLM, Austrian Airlines, and again, coming back to the topic, it's a huge task, and it's so important to take these concrete steps to establish proof points. It helped us to learn, um, make first steps to actually scale up later, learn about the product itself, certification, positioning it on the market, having the right conversations with the airlines. So it was very important, and I believe we need more of these concrete examples of how to make it work. And about co-processing itself, it cannot we can't rule out any technology for the time being. We must stay open here to actually scale up SAF. Depending on the configuration of the refinery and the related magnitude of the investment, co-processing can be a viable technology in the shorter term because it uses existing infrastructure, and with this, it has a much shorter lead time than standalone SAF projects. So yeah, co-processing is an option on the shorter term. However, policy support, technical optimization, feedstock flexibility, these will be all questions to sort out to understand if it will be one of the technologies for the future.
I hear you mentioned something that I want to dig into. You said you decided to build this first and go ahead of the mandates, and also as some of your competitors were not going big, potentially scaling back. What was the motivation? Did you have a lot of commercial offtakes already in the bag and you said, you know what, whatever we're going to produce, we're going to sell? What was the motivation here?
The motivation is it's the big picture again. So it's also for us as OMV. We are committed to our net zero target 2050, like the aviation industry. And then we have looked in our portfolio as an energy company, which are the parts that we need to start working on. So we're an integrated company, coming from oil and gas business, and we have defined lighthouse projects, as we call them. And it is three lighthouse projects we're working on: geothermal for the classical energy business. We're working on re-oil technology, and one of the lighthouse projects is SAF. And we exactly went the way that we say, we want to start with this now. We want to help build the market, because you need to have a market when you decide, will I take these large scale investments, and I need to understand the risk and have a certain customer base that will support you on the way.
I love it. I love the lighthouse approach and SAF as well. You mentioned earlier support from Ryanair. How has been the reception from airlines? I know you've announced deals with Air France KLM, Wizz, Austrian. How's the response been, and where do you see this going?
So the way it started off, the market on SAF has changed. So we saw a big interest and also willingness to purchase voluntary volumes in the last couple 2 to 3 years, since we actually started with our co-processing volumes in Schwechat. We still see in the year 25 a lot of interest into SAF. However, we see a shift from the market players being focused on getting the mandate right, so making sure we are all compliant, and sorting out the difficulties that we still see in the legislation. And this is why there was less focus on the voluntary volumes this year in 25. This is what we could observe. So everybody being focused on, let's get the mandate right. Nevertheless, I'm fully convinced that once we are in this space, that the interest for the voluntary volumes will pick up again.
Well, the good news is a lot of the offtakes you've talked about are European airlines, which are mandated to carry a certain amount in the coming years, thanks to Refuel EU. If you look at going back to production, right, you have an upcoming facility in Romania, which is fascinating because it integrates SAF production with green hydrogen generation. I think this is different from co-processing that you spoke about earlier. Can you tell us why OMV chose this integrated approach rather than just simply buying hydrogen from third parties, and how the economics different for green hydrogen to SAF versus the co-processing unit?
So I like a lot talking about the project in Romania. Of course, it's the first big standalone production facility on SAF and renewable diesel in the OMV family. And it's exciting to go to the refinery in Petrobras and see that the construction work is ongoing. So we have started building it in February this year. And once we will go operational here, we will be the first major producer of sustainable fuels in Southeast Europe. So the plant itself, it is built to have a capacity of 250,000 tons per year combined SAF and renewable diesel. And like you rightfully said, it's supported by 2 green hydrogen plants. So why is this very important for us? Green hydrogen is playing 2 roles here. So on the one hand, of course, it's a molecule that is essential feedstock for fuels and chemicals. So if we have green hydrogen available, it will help the transition to low carbon fuels and chemicals. That's the one part. The other part is why we are investing into these plants ourselves, is that it is for us a route to decarbonize our own facilities. So we are investing into this green hydrogen capacity, as it helps us future-proofing our OMV refineries. against the tightening EU climate regulations. Yeah? And we are not only stepping into this green hydrogen in Romania, we have just this year started up a 10 megawatt electrolyzer in Austria. It's the biggest right now that is running in Austria. And we are building another bigger project with 140 megawatt capacity since a couple of months also in Austria.
I'm curious, why Romania?
Yeah, we are, as OMV, we are set up across 3 different refinery locations in our core market. So we do have a refinery in Burghausen, which is the southern part of Germany. We do have a refinery in Austria, in Schwechat. Then we do have the refinery, the Petrom OMV refinery in Romania. So when you choose where to build such big projects, there are numerous topics that you have to take into consideration. Yeah, how is the situation on site with the hydrogen availability? How is it integrated with other possibilities of product outlet? We are strongly integrated in OMV with the chemicals business. So to see and decide where to build the plant is, on the one hand, it's a technical decision, what is feasible and what makes it most economic on site. And of course, on the other side, we are looking then at the markets and where we can best find outlets for the products. And we are very well integrated in OMV from west, which for us is southern Germany, to the Black Sea. And we have a good opportunity in our own airports to place this product. And we also see on top very good opportunities as the only producer in Southeast Europe to supply other airports which are currently outside of our core orbits.
We spoke about airlines. I'm curious also about your partnership with Airbus. We, of course, had Julie Kitcher on stage with us when we spoke. It's very interesting because it's not just about fuel supply, but also about advancing feedstocks, production pathways, and advocacy. I have not seen other fuel providers, much larger than you actually, do anything so close with an aviation OEM. What does this entail? How does it work?
Yeah, I like it. I like this a lot to talk about it because it's exactly about making a real change and looking broader into the aviation ecosystem, joining forces to think about these steps that I've been talking about in the beginning, not being overwhelmed by the big target and not only have a silo look on your own part of the business, but understand who out there can join forces to actually find real, practical, and scalable solutions to bring aviation to net zero latest 2050. So we have worked out certain areas where we want to really closely collaborate. We are, on the one hand, looking for solutions to broaden the voluntary access to SAF for various customer groups. So not only commercial airlines, but looking at helicopter companies, corporate jet companies, and other operators outside major airports. And for this, we are looking into the solution of book and claim system for driving SAF adoption beyond the mandate. We see this as a key building block to really unlock significant growth. So the mandate is very important. Nevertheless, we should not neglect what voluntary access to SAF can do for scaling it up. So that's the one part where we're both looking into how we can make book and claim happen for broader access. Then the second part is we are looking into feedstock. So we have to openly address that there will be a limitation on used cooking oil in Europe. In Europe in particular, but there will be globally a limitation. And we are looking into opportunities to accelerate testing, evaluation, getting the approvals for new feedstocks to make SAF available faster. Yeah? And if we as a fuel producer can partner here, with an OEM, we do believe that we can definitely bring quality and hopefully also some speed to the process. So that's the second part. And the third one I want to mention is we want to jointly raise awareness and understanding of SAF. Yeah, and getting the awareness out that it plays a significant role how the regulations and the policies play. And Europe, so two strong companies, Airbus, OMV, we believe Europe represents a huge potential for SAF growth, and we want to contribute to the development of the European SAF market through this partnership.
Very nice. I think it's visionary, and I've been familiar with a lot of Airbus partnerships, and it's great to get from you the insight behind why you've done this. You talked about book and claim and SAF certificates. You've also partnered with Microsoft on the other side, right? To help the companies cut Scope 3 emissions for business travel and logistics. How does this actually work in practice? Like, what are the mechanics of this? And do you think this can be duplicated, the same framework can be duplicated with other companies like Microsoft?
Yes, that's the idea behind it. It's great to have Microsoft on board for this. And let me briefly explain what is all behind this. So we have developed SAF business solutions, as we call it, as an innovative product in our portfolio. And what this product does, it decouples the benefits of sustainable aviation fuel, so the environmental benefits from the physical product. And this would allow companies like Microsoft to transparently reduce Scope 3 emissions from the air travel and freight where they happen. So the difference between regular carbon offsetting methods is that it's not the way that CO2 is emitted and later you compensate with external or other projects, but actually you have the choice, you have the opportunity to cut the emissions where they are happening. And how this is working, a company like Microsoft is monitoring their flight emissions, and then they would purchase certificates which are representing the corresponding amount of SAF. We help with these kind of calculations and also reportings. We then deliver SAF to airports in our network, and the SAF lands in the fuel tanks of the aircrafts. And then we can decouple the environmental attributes. So it's really the certificate itself from the physical product. So the physical product goes into an aircraft, but the certificate itself goes to a company like Microsoft. And this unique program is establishing a benchmark for corporate environmental responsibility. Yeah, so here it's not a classical offsetting, it's really helping to avoid the emissions in the first place.
This is very interesting. Do you foresee similar companies like Microsoft, but in Europe, that might sign up to a program like this?
Yeah, definitely. We do have a customer pipeline, and we are talking to many corporates about this program. And here I'm linking back to our Airbus collaboration and cooperation. We really see that there's a lot of awareness building and education needed. So what I learned from, coming from the world of a salesperson is these products have a completely different lead time. So it's the way you go out, you introduce them. You really need to have companies and your counterparts take the time to understand and then coming back. So yes, we are having a lot of conversations on this. Some companies are very advanced in the way how they want to offset their emissions. For some, it still needs education. And I think for this, all the partnerships, be it with Airbus, be it with commercial airlines, are very important just to, tell the story again and again and understand what the benefits of SAF actually are.
You're so right. Education is critical across multiple stakeholders, not just businesses, but customers and policymakers even. On policy, with the Refuel EU mandate, You've got 2% SAF starting and then rising to 70% by 2050. Do you think this is a realistic timeline, or are there bottlenecks that could slow progress? I mean, currently, even though SAF use is growing, it's a tiny, minuscule part of the overall airline usage.
Yeah, there are different perspectives to this. um, so first of all, the regulation is key to scaling up SAF. And you can look at it from two ways. You can say 2%, it's tiny. Yes, it's not enough, and it's definitely way to go. However, if you put it into real numbers for Europe, we are talking about a market, a SAF market that is now developed over 1 million tons. Yeah. If you say it's 2% of the overall jet consumption, and 1 million tons, if you are working in the fuels business, it's a lot if you imagine what it is. So yeah, it helps. The regulation helps creating a market, which is very important for the producers to have a certain have a certainty on the huge scale investments that we are having to take. If we look at the jumps in the mandate, there's already one pain point that we actually see in the Refuel EU is we would actually wish from a producer perspective, and I believe also from an airline perspective, for more gradual increases in the mandate. Now we have these really tremendous jumps in, which are making it difficult to time. Yeah, so if you go from 2% to 6%, further up to 20%, then you will always be too early or too late. You will have a long market, a short market, and I think this will be difficult to digest as well from producer side as well as from customer side. So mandate is important. We are supporting the ramp up, but we are also transparently addressing that the jumps make it quite difficult for us.
It's interesting. Some airline CEOs I speak with, they say, "Oh, you know what? We want all the SAF in the world, but the producers are not producing enough." Whereas if you speak to the producer side, oh, we are doing our best, and there isn't enough demand. Something's got to give there, and it's interesting the perspective you bring. Perhaps it is indeed the mandates that most airlines will comply with the minimum mandate. Some airlines will go above and beyond, and that's where the balance will come. It's always evolving. It's very interesting to watch. But I want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the cost. The SAF costs currently significantly more than Jet A. And for most airlines, SAF is Jet A, the fuel is about 30% of the cost. So they are definitely price sensitive, cost sensitive. And passengers definitely don't want this cost to be passed on to them. So what needs to happen? Do you think SAF can actually approach price parity with Jet A? Do you think Jet A price is going to rise because of carbon pricing or something else to meet SAF? Something's got to give.
So let's be clear here. Although chemically they are almost identical, SAF, regular Jet A1, they are completely different products. So let me take two perspectives. So A, we are looking at the way they are produced and the feedstocks used, and therefore they have a completely different cost base. So that's more the producer side. And B, if you consider their attributes, so if you consider attributes of SAF and the value, SAF in comparison with the regular jet fuel comes with the attribute to enable flying without having a negative impact on our planet. And this value comes with a different price. So I believe we are doing a mistake in always comparing SAF to Jet A1 and saying it needs to be approach a cost parity. It's a different product. It's a completely different production process, and we need to do huge investments here. So to name some effects that can help bring the price down, It's, of course, the economies of scale that will help the maturing and optimizing the technologies, because also we need to deal with these new plants with more efforts than we probably do with the ones we are used to. So economies of scale, maturing technology, and allowing for a wider range of feedstocks would also help here to bring the cost of SAF down in future.
From an OMV perspective, I understand the costs are higher for production of SAF. Is it more profitable as well?
I believe here we're just looking also in learning the whole value chain. Yeah, what is actually the integrated profitability of such a product that has a high value feedstock that requires a tremendous effort in certification. So here we believe that there needs to be a certain price level of SAF established in the market to take the decision to invest into such plants that are costing most of the time above a billion. So that the price level out there needs to be established on a healthy way, because else we will not see companies investing. It's too much risk, and it's too high investment costs that will be behind these projects.
Yeah, I hear you. It will be good to see how it pans out. Now, you have set very ambitious targets to produce up to 1.5 million tons of renewable fuels annually by 2030. That's coming soon. And SAF is playing a major role in that. What are some of the milestones you're tracking or we can be watching in the next few years to make sure that we are keeping pace?
Yeah, so the milestones are set in our overall strategy. So we are, as this integrated energy company, working on different parts of decarbonizing our business, like the lighthouse projects I've mentioned before. And we are also in our strategy review processes, we are looking at where do we need to speed up? Where do we need to pull the brakes a bit? Yeah. And I think also the macroeconomic environment, the whole political situation needs to be taken into consideration here. So what we see is that we need to create security around policies and legislation to have a clear view on where we need large-scale investments. We openly need to address the current rocks that we see in the different regulations. So, for example, RefuelEU, jumping mandates, narrow range of expected feedstocks. Yeah, we need to work on broaden the voluntary access to SAF, have a book and claim system to allow the growth. And we in Europe need to drive and support innovation as such. Yeah, I think we can do better here, and we can join more forces to actually come up with innovative solutions. We know our North Star, yeah, it's net zero for aviation. For us in OMV as a company, we have very concrete steps on the way, and we will need to pull different levers, and we need to speed up or slow down certain projects which we have in the pipeline. Nevertheless, SAF is key for us. It's one of the lighthouse projects, and I personally believe, coming back to the growth story of aviation, it will not go away. So there's no way around, continuing the future of aviation without having a solid footprint in SAF.
I love the commitment. And I love the vision, which is really why we are speaking. I think you're one of the first major fuel suppliers on this podcast. If you could change one thing, whether it's policy, technology, public perception, to accelerate SAF adoption, what would it be and why?
That's the tricky one thing question. And honestly, if I can wish for only one thing, I wish for more transformative partnerships and collaboration in the aviation ecosystem. So I think really join forces, bring together all our expertise, knowledge, commitment.
Fair enough. Thank you. And I think we are ending on a good note here. The final part of this interview, Nina, is what I call the rapid fire round, in which we get to know you a bit more personally. And it's rapid fire, so you got to give me very short or one word answers or short phrase answers. And we start with something simple. What's your favorite airline?
I can't make it short because I have two perspectives on an airline. Me as a customer and airlines being my customers.
Oh
I
no,
like
you
to
as a
be on board
customer.
of
Which
this
one do
airline.
you? Yeah. Which one do you like to
Sorry?
fly? Which one do you like to fly?
I like to fly with the airline where I'm bored and I can see that the employees there are having a happy face and they like to work there.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, Southwest comes to mind until now, until recently. A few European airlines come to mind like that. What's your favorite airport?
Vienna,
Okay,
coming home.
sure. Favorite book?
Uh, One I read recently, it's Winning from Within from Erica Ariel Fox. It's good for business and private.
Okay, good. I will definitely check it out. Thank you for the recommendation. Favorite city?
It's Rome.
Okay, fair enough. Good choice there. Favorite movie?
I don't have a favorite movie, but I will now mention the one of my two boys, or our two boys. It's Top Gun.
Of
And
course.
being caught in the boat, I had to watch it already numerous times.
Okay, I'm another Top Gun fan there, so I know what you're talking about. What do you do in your free time?
We are definitely an outdoor family, a lot of sports.
Okay, skiing, running, something else?
Skiing, running, biking. Yeah.
Okay, out and about. What is something you'd like to learn?
We can learn every day, and I think there are a lot of things I still want to learn.
And finally, what's the best advice you've received, Nina?
It's a simple one, and it works all over the place. Treat others like you want to be treated, and respect all the people.
Fantastic. Nina, thank you very much for sharing your insights. Pretty excited to see OMV's bold approach, both towards SAF scale up, your partnerships, and I do wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shashank, for the conversation.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sustainability in the Air. Aviation is one of the hardest to decarbonize industries, yet there are multiple paths to get to net zero. Awareness is key to a green future. So please give us your support to help our sustainable aviation insights reach a wider audience. You can do this by sharing this episode on your network, on LinkedIn, Twitter, or even WhatsApp. Or perhaps you might consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this episode. You can start a conversation with us by writing to us at podcast@simpliflying, that's simply with an i.com. And for more content on sustainable aviation, please visit our website green.simplifying.com and join the movement. Sustainability in the Air is an original podcast by Simplifying. The show is produced by Juraj Toth in Slovakia. Dirk Singer is our Director of Sustainability, who leads research for each interviewee out of Greenwich, UK. Shubhadeep Pal is our Supervising Editor based out of Mumbai and Singapore. The articles are written by Ayushi Badola in Dehradun in India and Meera Hull in Montreal, Quebec. Creative design is led by Ligia Esteve in Montreal. Baiba Drimen is the project director for the show based out of Valencia, Spain. Special thanks to Wendy Sim in Singapore. And I'm Shashank Nigam, the CEO of Simplifying and your host. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.